Welcome to another edition of Clouds of Torah. Today we will be dealing with Daniel 7:13. And one of the first things we must understand is the language of Daniel throughout the chapter of Daniel 7 and in other places that Daniel speaks about certain things. So, discussing the language of Daniel, let's get into Daniel 7:13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. So one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days. He didn't come to the earth with his angels and power and all the things mentioned in the New Testament when it talks about you will see the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. In Daniel, it says this Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. So this has nothing to do with coming to earth, dealing with judgments and gathering the people from the four corners of the earth, the things mentioned in the New Testament. So let's get back to the language real quick. So in Daniel 7:2-4, Daniel spoke, saying, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings, and I watched till its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So we have imagery here. Something looks like something. The first was like a lion, right? It had eagle's wings. We know lions don't have eagle's wings, right? And it was made to stand on 2 feet like a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So this is all imagery and symbolic. So is it possible that the one like the Son of Man is also imagery or symbolic of something else? We are about to see that it definitely is when you read the whole chapter in context. Because the Son of Man is only mentioned here in Daniel 7:13 concerning who was being brought before the Ancient of Days. So let's continue. The book of Daniel chapter 7 starts out describing those beasts, right? But the beasts represent kings. Daniel 7:17. Those great beasts which are four kings which rise out of the earth. So these beasts are representation of a kingdom. They're not literal animals, but they represent four kings. So is it possible that the Son of Man also represents something, because it says someone like a Son of Man, right? So let's see. United together as one man. We know Israel is often spoken of as being as one man, Judges 20:11. So all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, united together as one man. Ezra 3:1. And when the seventh month had come, and the children of Israel were in the cities, the people gathered together as one man to Jerusalem. So this is the same type of language of describing something that really not the true essence of it, but is describing something that makes sense. We know when people are together as one, that means they're united. There's unity there. So what does this have to do with the Son of Man? The saints or the holy ones, okay? The saints or the holy ones. Daniel 7:18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Now, the Christian Standard Bible says, but the holy ones of the Most High will receive the kingdom. So the word saints and holy ones is basically what's used depending on your translation. They mean the same thing, the saints and the holy ones, 69:22 in the Strongs. So it is the saints or the holy ones that receive the kingdom. This represents the Son of Man. So let's deal with this in context. So in Daniel 7:14 says, and there was given him dominion and glory in the kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages shall serve him. His dominion is an everlasting kingdom which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Daniel 7:18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So people say, well, it says him. You're right. It does say him. But again, we have to deal with the language and how it's used, because we saw beasts are representing kings. So that's not a literal one person, right? A beast is not a person. It represents a conglomerate of people, right? Because it represents a kingdom. So when it says him, it basically interprets itself when you go and read Daniel 7:18, when it says the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. So let's continue. Israel is called him. Jeremiah 31:10. Hear the word of the Lord, all you nations, and declare it in the isles far off, and say, he that scattered Israel will gather him, and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock. Hosea 8:3. Israel has cast off the thing that is good. The enemy shall pursue him. Hosea 11:1. When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. Ezekiel 19:4. The nations also heard of him. He was taken in their pit, and they brought him with chains into the land of Egypt. So we see Israel being personified as just him multiple times. So when you see he will be given dominion and all nations shall obey and serve him, it's speaking of the nation in general. So let's read with some more context concerning the saints. Daniel 7:16 through 22. I came near unto one of those who stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. So Daniel is actually being interpreted, right? It says, these great beasts, which are four kings who shall rise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured the broken pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up before whom 3 fell, even of the horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. Okay, so here again we see the saints. It doesn't say he made war with the Son of Man. The same made war with the saints. Why? Because that's who's going to get the kingdom. And prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And at that time, that the saints possessed the kingdom. Over and over again, the saints, the saints, the saints. We're not even talking about the Son of Man no more, because it's the saints who possess the kingdom, because the Son of Man, which is Israel as a whole nation, as one man, represents the saints. The Son of Man the Son of Man is the saints. It's clear when you read the whole context. The greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints. Again, if you stay in Daniel 7 and read the whole thing, it tells you what's going on. Daniel 7:27, and the kingdom and dominion, and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. This will be the nation of Israel, which of course is under the Most High. That's whose kingdom it really is. Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. So, of course, when you talk to a Christian, they say, no, Daniel 7:13 is about Jesus, because it says in Matthew 26:64, Jesus said unto him, thou hast said, nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter you shall see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Okay, but remember, it says that the Son of Man came with the clouds and they brought him to the Most High. In Matthew, it says the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. And what is he going to do? He's going to gather the elect and do all these things on earth, right? This has nothing to do with Daniel's vision of the Son of Man coming to the Most High. And it says in Matthew, the Son of Man was sitting at the right hand of power. Well, we know on earth, Jesus definitely had no power or authority. because the Romans killed him, right? Isaiah 45:6, that they may know that from the rising of the sun to its setting, that there is none besides me. I am the Lord, and there is no other. There is nobody sitting at the right hand of power with the Most High. Isaiah 45:21. Tell them, bring forth your case. Yes, let them take counsel together. Who has declared this from ancient time? Who has told it from that time? Have not I the Lord, and there is no other God besides me, a just God and a Savior, and there is none besides me? There is nobody sitting at the right hand of power. And he doesn't say anybody is going to be sitting at the right hand of power, right? As far as in heaven. Now, we know it's a figure of speech concerning sit at my right hand till I make your enemies the footstool of your feet. But he was talking to David, but he wasn't talking about in heaven. David was on earth ruling as a king, right? We don't see Jesus sitting at the right hand of power anywhere on earth. He's completely talking about coming from in the clouds of heaven, from heaven, not from earth. Jesus never reigned on earth. So that context has nothing to do with Daniel being given a kingdom. Daniel 7:13, the Son of Man being given a kingdom that is going to reign on the earth. There is none other besides him. Deuteronomy 4:35. To you it was shown that you may know that the Lord himself is God. There is none other besides him. Deuteronomy 32:12. So the Lord alone led him, and there was no foreign God with him. So the Most High doesn't have a partner like the Trinitarians teach. Besides me, there is no God. Isaiah 44:6-8. Thus says the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first, and I am the last. Besides me, there is no God. And who can proclaim as I do? Then let him declare it and set it in order for me, since I appointed the ancient people and the things that are coming and shall come. Let them show these to them. Do not fear, nor be afraid. Have I not told you from that time and declared it? You are my witnesses. Is there a God besides me? Indeed, there is no other rock. I know not one. This would have been a perfect time for him to say, oh, besides my son. Right? Nothing. Not a word. So like I said earlier, where do the clouds take the Son of Man? Does he come to earth to judge the earth? No. Daniel 7:13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. So he came with the clouds, and they brought him to the Ancient of Days. Nothing about coming to the earth. Doesn't say that. The Ancient of Days sat down. Nobody else sat on the throne with him. Daniel 7:9-10. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and then Ancient of Days sat down, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. So if Jesus was at the right hand of power before he came to earth, or he was with God before, how come he's not sitting on no throne nowhere? Or the Holy Spirit, right? If you believe in the Trinity. It says the Ancient of Days sat down, and he had a garment white as snow, and his hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. It doesn't say them. Thousands ministered unto him, right? So this is the Most High alone, and the one like the Son of Man came before him. They don't go to earth and gather the elect and all these things that Matthew tells you that when Jesus appears, everybody's going to see him on the clouds of heaven. What he's going to do. It's two different things. Whom have I in heaven but you? So we know none of the prophets ever talked about seeing Jesus, right? 1 Kings 22:19. Then Micaiah said, therefore hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by on his right hand and on his left. No mention of Jesus. Isaiah 6:1-3. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting on the throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above it stood seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one cried to the other and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. So we got seraphim above the throne, right? It says above it stood seraphim. On his right hand and his left hand is the host of heaven. Psalm 73:25. Whom have I in heaven but you? And there is none upon the earth that I desire besides you. No mention of a son called Jesus. So we got left, right, above the throne, and we got the psalmist telling you there's nobody I have in heaven but you. The one who dwells between the cherubim. Isaiah 37:16. O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, the one who dwells between the cherubim, you are God, you alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth, you have made heaven and earth. Genesis 3:24. So he drove out the man, and he placed cherubim at the east of the Garden of Eden, and a flaming sword, which turned every way to guard the way to the tree of life. So if it says the one who dwells between the cherubim, now we know when the Most High told them to build an ark, it says he will appear above the mercy seat between the cherubs. So if that's the case, he's between the cherubim. That would mean that the cherubs are on his right hand and on his left. So Jesus wouldn't be at his right hand if you're using that type of language. And it says he is alone when he does this. And the cherubs are the first ones, as far as like angelic beings, mentioned in connection with doing anything with people. So he drove out the man, and he placed cherubim at the east of the garden, right, to guard the way to the tree of life. So cherubs are mentioned, and he dwells between the cherubs. Not one mention of, and my son is there too. It doesn't say that. So one of the most used phrases in the New Testament is the Son of Man. Jesus is called the Son of Man all over the New Testament. But he ain't the first one. Ezekiel 2:1, and he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. If you read Ezekiel, he's called the Son of Man a lot of times. Also in Daniel 8:17, as he came near the place where I was standing, I was terrified and fell prostrate. Son of man, he said to me. Understand that the vision concerns the time of the end. And Son of Man really means Ben Adam, or son of Adam. But when you hear the term Son of Man, it doesn't equate to Jesus. Just to give you a little background on the word, on the phrase. All nations shall serve him. So in context, him represents the nation as a whole, right? Genesis 27:29. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. And be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. So we know Jacob and Esau, concerning the blessing, that Jacob got the blessing. Now it says, let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Well, nations didn't serve and bow down to Jacob, but they did to his children. So literally, this did not apply to Jacob, but as a whole, he is part of that nation, so they did bow down to his nation. Psalm 72:11, yeah, all kings shall fall down before him, all nations shall serve him. So this is a song concerning the king, that all the nations are going to serve him. Now, technically, they're serving the nation of Israel, but the nation has a king, and he represents those people, just as the Son of Man represents the saints. Daniel 7:14, and there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages shall serve him, just as it says in Genesis 27:29, let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. So as a whole, the nation of Israel would represent that him in Daniel chapter 7. Their kings will serve you. Isaiah 60, 10 through 12. Foreigners will rebuild your walls, and their kings will serve you. Right? Though in anger I struck you, in favor I shall show you compassion. Your gates will always stand open. They will never be shut day or night, so that people may bring you the wealth of the nations. Their kings led in triumphal procession. For the nation or kingdom that will not serve you will perish. It will be utterly ruined. So again, we see in the future that foreigners will rebuild your walls. Whose walls? The walls of Israel, and their kings will serve you. Right? That's how you're given a kingdom and dominion and all these things. When they talked about their kings will serve you, it's talking about the nation as a whole. We know when the Most High gives somebody authority, sometimes it can be absolute, like the nation and kingdom which will not serve the king of Babylon, right? When I say absolute, of course, it's referring to as far as people, not as far as people are going to start worshiping you or nothing like that. But Jeremiah 27 and 8, and it shall come to pass that the nation and kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, said the Lord, with the sword and with the famine and the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand. They shall take away his dominion. Who was the they? Daniel 7, 26 and 27. But the judgments shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. So who is they? If it's just the Son of Man, right? Who is they? It doesn't really tell you that that's Jesus, unless he's represented as a they, right? The judgment shall sit. Remember, it says the books were open. It says it's a whole judgment scene, right? Thousands of thousands were there. The books were open. Read Daniel chapter 7 in its entirety. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion. Who's they? Who gets to decide on these matters? And it says, the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. So, we could talk about the divine council. Okay. It's still a they are going to take away the dominion of these beasts, right? And give it to the people of the saints. The people of the saints that will represent the nation of Israel. So, again, the saints are the one who are going to receive the kingdom. It's not just Jesus. He's not even in this picture. With 10,000s of saints, Deuteronomy 32, 33 and 2. And he said, the Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000 of saints. From his right hand went a fiery law for them. So we see saints or holy ones here. Daniel 7 and 10. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open. Again, we see thousands and thousands of saints, right? Or in this case, in Daniel, it could be the host of heaven. Jude 1:14. This is in the New Testament. Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000 of his saints. So 10,000 saints or holy ones. So there's not just one holy one. It's thousands of holy ones, plural. That would have been a good time to say, and his only begotten son. But it don't say that. A watcher and a holy one. Daniel 4 and 13. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher and a holy one came down from heaven. Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, with the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of man, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. Daniel 4:23. And whereas the king saw a watcher and the Holy One coming down from heaven and saying, hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, and even with the band of iron and brass and the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field till 7 times pass over him. So why am I here? We have watchers and holy ones giving decrees. It says this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones or the saints, right? So when it says they will take away his dominion in Daniel 7, again, we have saints. And of course, we have watchers too, which is a whole other discussion. But nothing about a son of man or Jesus is mentioned here. Same book of Daniel. But again, we have holy ones or saints being mentioned, and they're able to give decrees. Now, are these the same saints that take away the dominion of the beasts and give it to the saints of the Holy One or the holy ones that are to possess the kingdom in Daniel 7? The kingdom that shall not be torn apart, or that shall rule forever. So when you read Daniel 7, first you got to read it in its entirety, and you can't cherry pick just because you see the word Son of Man and clouds of heaven. It's a lot more to it. The saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. So if we was to just look at this again, Daniel 7:18, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Daniel 7:21. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. It doesn't say he made war with Jesus. It says the saints and prevailed against them, right? He's definitely prevailing against saints that would be on earth, right? It doesn't say that the saints are people in heaven. It says he prevailed against them because the beast represents kings on earth. So Daniel 7:22, until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and at that time the saints possessed the kingdom. So the saints that was prevailed over got judgment in their favor, and they was given the kingdom. So again, all about the saints, plural, the saints, the saints, the saints. The saints are represented by the Son of Man because the Son of Man can represent Israel as a whole. I say again that the Son of Man represents Israel as the saints or as a whole for a few reasons. A holy nation or a nation of saints. Daniel 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High and shall wear out the saints of the Most High and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. So somebody's wearing out the saints. That means somebody's putting in work on people, right? Daniel 7:27, and the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. So we see this theme of the saints and the holy ones, right? Or however you want to translate that. But in Exodus 19:6 it says, and you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt say to the children of Israel. So if it says you will be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, that word holy again can be translated as saint. So if it says you will be unto me a kingdom of priests and a saintly nation or a nation of saints, again, the Son of Man in context would represent the saints who are going to get the kingdom, because it says in Exodus 19:6, you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and saints, technically. So if you look up the word saint or holy one in Exodus 19:6, holy, 69:18, the usage is holy one or saint. Daniel 7:27, 69:22 in the Strong's, the usage is holy one and saint. So these words are interchangeable. So a nation of a holy nation or a nation of saints. Same thing. That's where the kingdom is going to be, and a representation or represented by saintly people or holy ones. It's very clear. Exodus 19:6, Daniel 7:27, same language, same language. Another reason I say the Son of Man is Israel is because we see in Ezekiel 11:15, Son of man, your brethren, your relatives, your countrymen, and all the house of Israel in its entirety. Everybody, right? So if Ezekiel is called a son of man, that means your brethren would be sons of men, your relatives, your countrymen, and all the house of Israel in its entirety would be sons of men. And we know Israel is represented as one man. Okay? So the Son of Man is Israel, representing the saints who are to possess the kingdom. So in conclusion, the nation of Israel are the saints or the holy ones that will receive the kingdom after the four beasts are defeated. And the nation of Israel is represented as a son of man, because it says someone like a son of man, right? Daniel 2:35. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were all broken to pieces and became like chaff on a threshing floor in the summer. The wind swept them away without leaving a trace. But the rock that struck the statue became a huge mountain and filled the whole earth. So that will be the kingdom that breaks up the rest of the kingdoms, right? Daniel 2:44. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom. Which kingdom is that? The kingdom that is going to be possessed by the saints, right? Which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kings, and it shall stand forever. This would be the nation of Israel. So when people cherry pick the scriptures and see the word Son of Man and clouds of heaven, automatically they run and say, see, that's what Jesus said. Well, Jesus is coming on the clouds to the earth. Daniel says the Son of Man is coming on clouds, and he was brought to the Ancient of Days. And Jesus never reigned as a king anywhere. And it says he's going to sit in the right hand of power in the New Testament, but the Most High says, there's nobody besides me. I know not one. I dwell between the cherub, and Jesus ain't no cherub. So if the cherub's on his right hand and on his left, and even the host of heaven is described as on his right hand and on his left, then Jesus should have been mentioned somewhere in there, but he's not. So with that being said, we know that Daniel 7:13 is about the saints of the Most High who will receive the kingdom. Subscribe to Clouds of Torah, hit the like button, share it, and until next time.